Some additional and final thoughts about the Donald Trump UN address. Let's play a couple more clips and just try to make sense of all of this and bring it all together. Let's play clip number 6.
If the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, then evil will triumph. When decent people and nations become bystanders to history, the forces of destruction only gather power and strength. No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more.
Okay, let's
we were all witness to the regime's deadly...
So, you know, again, the huge disconnect between the flat, sing-songy voice and the vehement language is striking. But, you know, look, every demagogue needs an enemy, right? So North Korea, which is a dictatorship and a horrible place in many ways, this guy is treating North Korea as if we're somehow as powerful as the United States, as if somehow we're an existential threat to the United States. They don't have missiles that can reach us. We could destroy the country in a heartbeat if we had to. The smart thing to do would be to negotiate with them, which, by the way, diplomats have said, you know, has been done successfully and could be done again, to make sure that they don't get the capability to harm us. Instead, Trump was so bellicose and aggressive toward North Korea that he all but guaranteed that they will go full speed ahead on their nuclear program, as in fact they have been recently. Now, he said this, I don't want to replay the clip, but he said this, if the United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Now, he's talking about the extermination of 23 million people there in that flat, sing-songy voice of his. It just seems sociopathic, to be candid. He goes on to say Rocket Man, which is his sarcastic name for Kim, the dictator of North Korea. He calls him Rocket Man because he has launched some missiles, and I guess because when it comes to Elton John song titles, maybe he thought Honky Cat was not appropriate. I don't know, whatever his thinking was, but Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully that will not be necessary. That's what the United States is all about. That's what the United States is for. Let's see how they do. So, okay, he's really saying, if you don't give me what I want, United Nations, out of North Korea, I will begin a nuclear war. He went on to, let's see, he went on, as we talked about, to defend Saudi Arabia from its local opponents. Weird how he keeps siding with Saudi Arabia. Gosh, I really wish I knew more about that. And now let's just play clip 11 for the heck of it.
The problem in Venezuela is not that socialism has been poorly implemented, but that socialism has been faithfully implemented.
Wow, did he have to wait a long time for the applause there, huh?
From the Soviet Union to Cuba to Venezuela, wherever true socialism or communism has been adopted, it has delivered anguish and devastation and failure. Those who preach the tenets of these discredited ideologies only contribute to the continued suffering of the people who live under these cruel systems.
Okay, so, you know, here probably more than anywhere else in the speech, I became acutely aware that I was listening to a 71-year-old American man, because this is a relic of the Cold War and of Cold War thinking. Look, this is a part of the speech that many American presidents of the 20th century might well have given, because this was standard political rhetoric for both parties for most of certainly the post-war era through the early part, through the fall of the Soviet Union. But the Soviet Union fell 25 years ago. It fell a quarter of a century ago. Again, he's trying to elevate a minor country into the position that the Soviet Union once filled. Why? Because by having a terrifying enemy, you can somehow manage to justify the military-industrial complex to the American people. Now, there was a time when such a line would have gotten instant and significantly louder applause from a UN audience, not from everyone, but from a significant bloc, because there was a significant bloc of anti-communist nations. Really, anti-communism is not an ideology anymore. This is an ideology of the past. Now, Trump's line, the problem in Venezuela is not that socialism has been poorly implemented, but that socialism has been faithfully implemented. Not only was it a dud as an applause line, but it fails to recognize that the nations that we consider our strongest allies in Western Europe, for example, Great Britain, France, and so on, Germany, these nations have significant elements of democratic socialism in their systems, in their economic and political systems, and they are extremely successful. Same is true of the Scandinavian countries. Now, Great Britain, for example, even though it has been under conservative rule for some time, still has the National Health Service. It still has a much more generous social safety net than we have in this country. France still has a single-payer health care. France has a generous social safety net, although the new president is probably working on dismantling that as we speak. And Germany, for all of Germany's austerity economics when it comes to other countries, and they are very, very rough on countries like Greece, over whom they have power through the European Central Bank and the European Community, Germany domestically also has a very strong safety net. Unions sit on corporate boards, for example. Workers have enormous protections. Again, a single-payer health system. So it's not the applause line it used to be to say that socialism is evil, because the fact is these people have seen the benefits of a system that Americans have traditionally described as socialism. For example, we were able to, by we I mean conservative forces in this country, have been able to stave off a single-payer system for 75 years in this country by calling it socialized medicine or a form of communism. I've quoted their rhetoric on this program going back to 1935 doing that, and it has worked, and it especially worked during the Cold War. Ronald Reagan made a record album for quote-unquote doctors' wives to play at quote-unquote coffee and tea parties, encouraging them to write letters to Congress against socialized medicine. That was in 1964 when he was a failed actor, as opposed to a failed president, which he later became. The fact is that isn't going to work anymore. The American people want real solutions to their problems. They want the kind of benefits that Western Europe and Scandinavia enjoy. They want to be protected. They want to understand that healthcare is a human right. The days of Cold War rhetoric are over.